Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are in a different setting because I'm going to be sharing with you guys how I increased my credit score from a 677 to an 805 in less than a year. I think that it's really important for you guys all to be financially savvy and understand the importance of credit. So I just wanted to share with you guys some tips and tricks that worked for me on how to increase my credit score. Just a disclaimer, this is what worked for me. This is what got my credit score up, and I'll show you guys the photo of my progress for my FICO score month over month on what I did to get my credit score up. So I'm not an expert and I didn't study finance. So yeah, this is just what worked for me personally. And I'm gonna give you guys 10 tips on what you can do to also get your credit score up. So number one, make it a goal. My goal personally was to pay off my credit card. I just hate seeing the amount of money that I owed and how much money I had to pay off. Even though I was making these payments, it still felt like my balance was never going anywhere. So my personal goal was to have zero credit debt. And to do that, I gave myself a timeline. So I said, in 1 year, I want to pay off my credit. And that didn't happen because, things come up. But when you make it a goal, you continue to work to make that happen. So if you don't reach your due date, that doesn't mean that you no longer work toward the goal. You just reevaluate the date, So I continue to make it a goal. Like everything I did was around making sure that I paid my credit card off. Number two, I cut up every single credit card that I owed because having the credit card in my purse just made me use it. Like if I would go to Sephora and I didn't want to spend my spending money for the week, I would put it on my credit card. If I went out to eat, I would put it on my credit card. Vacations, I would put it on my credit card. When you have the physical card, you're more likely to use the card, So I got to a place where I had maxed out every single one of my credit cards because no one told me the importance of your credit and your credit score. I wasn't knowledgeable about any of this when I got my first credit card. So if you're getting your first credit card, just know that your credit score is more important than the money that you have saved. So make sure that you're using all of these steps to have a high credit score and maintain, the balance that you have on your credit. So I cut up every single credit card, and basically if I didn't have money, I just wouldn't do something. And so that really helped me out, because I had the goal to pay my credit cards off, everything I did aligned to that goal. So I wasn't using any of the cards because I didn't have them. And that's how I continued to see my balance go lower and lower after I was paying the credit card off because I was never using it again. And that was really, really helpful for me. At this point now, I do have one credit card I have one physical credit card, and I do use that credit card because I have a house and unexpected things come up. Sometimes I don't have the money, and the credit card is really helpful for me. But once you have a healthy relationship with your credit card, like I do now using these 10 tips, then it's okay for you to have your credit card. Number three, you want to make sure you know what your interest rate you're paying on your credit card is. Just know that the large department stores, Macy's, maybe Sephora, they have higher interest rates. So if you're signing up for a credit card, make sure you know the interest rate. And if you're already in debt and you have 5 different accounts, what I did was I looked at the different credit cards that I had and determined which account had the highest interest rate, and I would pay off those credit cards first. That was my first priority. So I had 5 credit cards. One had about like a 20-something% interest rate, and then my lowest was around 14%. So I would pay off the one that had the highest interest rate first, and I would make larger payments to that. Of course, you still have to pay your credit cards every month, but for example, if you're using $600 per month to your credit cards, then you want to make sure that $400 is going towards the account that has the higher interest rate. Number 3, which is super, super important. Never max out your credit cards. You always want to have 30% of your credit cards available balance on your credit card. So that means if you have a limit of $1,000 on your credit card, you want to make sure you have $300 available. So you can only use $700 of what's on your credit card. For me, that was so important. Like, once I learned that, then I was like, okay, I need to at least pay off 30% of what I've maxed out. So if that's where you are today and you're in debt, start off by just at least making 30% off on your credit cards available. That's a great starting point for people who are in debt. And you can do that by setting the goal to pay off 30%, and then make sure that each check you are putting some money to get towards your goal. Actually, I just learned that 30% of your credit score comes from the available balance on your credit card. So if you go and check your credit score, whether it's through CreditWise or through your FICO score, they will tell you the things that brought you to your credit score. So whether you're doing high or low on something, they'll tell you the reason, and that will really help you to determine what you need to do to increase your credit score. For me, one of the reasons was that I didn't have enough available balance on my credit cards. Because like I said, when I got my first credit card in college, I maxed it out. I was enjoying it, spending, having fun, whatever I wanted. It's a great feeling to get everything you want at that time without having to worry and having to subtract money from your actual checking account. But just remember that you have to pay it back with interest. Number 5, always pay your credit cards on time. This was something that I was really good about. I always pay my bills on time or earlier. And this is another thing that contributes to your credit score, is whether or not you pay on time. And then remember this, when you pay late, not only do you pay what you owe plus interest, now you pay what you owe plus interest plus a late fee. So you're paying even more money. So something that may have cost you only $20 maybe now can cost you $80 because of the interest and the late fee. So keep those things in mind. You always want to pay your credit cards and all of your bills on time, because you don't want to have to pay late fees. That's throwing money away. Number 6, do not open any new credit cards. So this is also something that's really important. And I always say credit cards are the devil, okay? So if you're opening a new account and you say, oh no, I'm just gonna use $10 or I'm just gonna buy this one thing on this credit card. No, you're gonna continue to buy things on that credit card, because in life, we always need things. We always need food. We always need a new pillow. We always need a new outfit. Our nails are here, and you're gonna continue to use that card. So at this point, where you are with your credit card today, whether you have $0 that you owe, whether you have 10 open accounts and $40,000 in debt, don't open any new accounts, okay? That is something that's really gonna help you out. And, the more money you have available for credit card, the more you're gonna be likely to use that money. Number 7, your second priority should be to pay your credit card out. If your goal is to get out of debt, your goal is to increase your credit score, that should be your second priority. For me, my first priority was to pay my bills on time, make sure all my bills are paid. That's always, and today, my number 1 priority. My number 2 priority was to pay off my credit cards. So I had a really good system that worked for me, where I will write out each of my paychecks and say, this is how much money is going to my bills. This is how much money is going to my credit cards. This is how much money I'm gonna save. And this is how much money I'm gonna spend. So you wanna do that and make sure that you can put a realistic amount, like you want to give yourself enough money to spend for the 2 weeks or the week, whatever your pay schedule is. And then you want to pay as much as you can to your credit card. Remember, that's your goal. In order to achieve the goal, you have to make it a priority. So number 8, what I did was I would pay large amounts to my credit card. So I would pay $1,000 every 2 weeks or $500 every 2 weeks, because I was breaking out my paychecks, I knew how much I could pay. And I always, and even today now, when I do use my credit card and I put something on my credit card, what I do is, if I just spent $50 on my credit card, I will then make sure that the week that I get paid, I pay $70 to my credit card. So I'm always paying a little more than what I put on my credit card, but I'm always making sure to pay it right away. So that's a tip to continue with healthy habits on your credit card, is always pay it once you use it. And if you're trying to get out of debt, try to pay as much as you possibly can to your credit card. You know, you don't need that extra pair of shoes. You don't need to get your hair done. You can do it yourself. All these things are not going to help you get towards your goal. So you want to make sure that everything you're doing, again, aligns to the goal of getting out of debt or the goal to increase your credit score. And, you know, that goal is so important. That goal is so important for you, you know, because everything revolves around that goal. The number one thing I've learned is to stay ready so you never have to get ready. So, you know, your credit score being high, you never know when you're going to need a high credit score to get that new car or to get that house or to get a low interest rate on something, or, you know, for your student loans. You never know when you're going to need that high credit score. So it's better to always stay ready than get ready. So another tip as well is that always pay your credit card before you save money. So I know so many people that are in debt for $20,000, but then go and save $500 every 2 weeks. Like, you don't make any sense, because you're paying interest on that credit card. That $20,000, you're accruing interest every single month. Okay, so you're paying more money while you're having this money sit in your savings account. It doesn't really make sense. I understand the importance of having money saved just in case a rainy day comes up, but also your credit score is more important than the money that you have saved in your account. Like, believe that, okay? Because you can do so much with your credit score that you may not be able to do if you have a 600 credit score, but you have $5,000 saved in your account. So to be clear, I'm not saying don't save. What I'm saying is that instead of saving 50% of your check, maybe save 25% and put the other 25% towards your credit card, because that's your goal. After my goal of paying my credit card is when I started to get stricter about my goal of savings. And if you guys want to know how I was able to save my goal amount, then just give this video a thumbs up. I'm getting so passionate about this conversation. Okay, and number 9 is do not close any single credit card. Okay, so if you're not using the account, which I have like 3 cards, actually I have 4 accounts that I have zero balance on, I don't use. You don't want to close that, because that's going to negatively affect your score. Number 10, you want to make sure that you check your credit report, because there may be an error on your credit report. For example, someone I know went to college and that college actually shut down. And so they were no longer responsible to pay their student loans that they owed the school, because the school shut down in the middle of the year. And on their credit report, the school actually reported that they didn't pay that debt. And so that person had to go and dispute it with their credit card. But that had a major impact on their credit score, because it looks like they didn't pay their debt. So you always want to make sure you check your credit score to make sure everything is aligned. These 10 tips will help you to get your credit score up and to pay off your debt. I did it, and I know you guys can do it if you follow these same tips. And again, if you make it your goal. The breakdown of my FICO score month over month on how I got from a 677 to an 805, you'll see that it continued to go up every single month. Just know that just because you're in debt today doesn't mean that you can't get out of it. So don't let that discourage you. Just continue to stick to your goal and continue to make the payments and be on time, and you will get there. So my credit score was an 805. I think the highest that it's ever been was an 813. Today, my credit score is a 800, because I did just buy a house, which does make your credit score go down because they do pull credit reports. You guys want me to make a video on how I maintain my high credit score to an 800, then just comment down below and I'll make sure to give that video for you guys. And if you also want to see a video on how I was able to save for my house by 25, then also comment down below. I really hope this video was helpful for someone. Again, you guys can do it. I did it, and trust me, these tips will work for you. So I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.